In this video, I will be showing the creation of a galaxy themed cake. This specific cake is a lemon flavored cake. You'll notice first I am mixing the cake batter, and quickly I will begin to fill 4-inch pans. I'm using 2 pans here. It'll just be 2 layers. I'm doing 1 tier, 2 layers. I was also making some lemon blueberry cakes, but I won't be showing those other cakes in this video. I'll start first by leveling off my cakes once they come out of the oven. I did that just by using a bread knife, dragging it across the top of the pan, flush up against the pan to flatten the tops of the cake. I brought them out of the pans and wrapped them in saran wrap so that I could freeze them so that they were cold enough to begin to decorate. I first started with putting some buttercream to keep my cakes from moving as I decorated. I am stacking my cakes here first to begin to decorate so they're not moving, and stacking the second cake, and I'm beginning my crumb coat. Some people opt to use a knife. I'm opting to use a piping bag. I find it's easier to spread when it's spread evenly with the bag. So I'm first just trying to get that crumb coat spread evenly to keep the crumbs from spreading into my clean buttercream canvas. I've applied the second coating at this point, and I am trying to smooth out that buttercream icing, getting some relatively crisp edges. I'm beginning shortly to add the colors. Here I'm adding pink and purple, black, blue, and white. They're the colors that will make up the color of the galaxy theme. And once I have those various colors added to my cake, I will begin to smooth those out using a bench scraper. One of my primary goals here is to make sure that I continue to see a bit of all of the colors shine through in the cake once it's finished. So you will notice after I get it mostly smooth, I will go back and add some of those other colors besides black to make sure that I do have some of the vibrance of the pink, blue, purple, and white coming through in my cake. And here you see I begin to do that smoothing work on the galaxy cake. I love the way that this technique looks for the galaxy cake. And I'm dragging that in a circular motion over the top of the cake to try to get that same effect on the top. Now this cake is a cake that I am making not for a customer, so I'm not overly concerned about it being 100% smooth, but I'm doing kind of a quick job here. Here's where I'm adding those colors into my canvas, as I call it, to get that vibrance back into the galaxy I'm creating. You'll notice once I get this to where I like the way that it looks, I will water down some buttercream icing, just adding a few tablespoons of water to maybe a half a cup of white buttercream icing until it is smooth and I'm able to dip a brush into the icing, and I will use it to kind of flick the brush bristles at the cake so that it creates what looks like a star, the star pattern on the cake. And you can do that as much as you want to show how many stars you're looking for on your cake. Then I used a paper towel to clean the cake board to get those stars off of the cake board. Here I have applied some food coloring to fondant, and I'm beginning to create my planets for my galaxy. And I'm not thoroughly mixing the colors into the fondant because I want them to kind of look marbled so that you can see that there's like different surface areas on the planets. And I'm just using different colors to create variance in the planets. Here I am beginning to cut some circles out. You'll notice that I'm using some saran wrap over top of the fondant, and that's because that gives kind of a more rounded effect as opposed to just cutting it where it's more of a straight edge on the fondant. I'm using some powdered sugar to keep it from sticking, and again, just kind of using this so that it's more of a marbled look, and I'm using my smoothing knife to press down onto the counters instead of using a rolling pin. I'm using different sizes of circles so that there's variation in the planet sizes, just to give a more interesting look to the planets on the cake. And then I'm also, as you see there, I'm kind of just smoothing out the edges so they don't look jagged. It just kind of gives a more clean look to the cake edges on the fondant. And again, I'm just kind of using different colors for the different planets. And here I'm taking some of the colors I've already mixed and just blending different colors to make sure that I have enough planets to represent our solar system, and so that I have additional variations in colors. Once I finish creating all of my planets, I'll begin working on the moon that I'll put on the top of this cake. I'm going to be using some lemon extract and some silver luster dust, and I'm going to mix those together, and that will really create kind of like a gray silver paint, really. And I'll use that, and I will paint the moon in that color. I'll also use a fondant tool to create little craters in the moon, and that will kind of give more of a definition to the way that the moon is going to look on top of the cake. Here's that fondant tool kind of creating some craters. And I'm using that luster dust and lemon extract to color that to make it a gray silver color. I'm kind of pushing that off to the side. I'm not putting that on the moon itself, just kind of putting it off to the side and beginning to paint that a little bit. Also, you'll notice that I will use a silver spray food paint to make that a deeper silver paint color. That just adds some more definition to the color of that moon. I really like this spray paint that I will use momentarily. It really dries rather quickly. One other thing, I did add some gum paste to the fondant work that I was doing because that helps to harden it and make it more sturdy. So that's something I do like to do just to make those more stable so they're not droopy, or just makes it a more sturdy piece for the cake. Here you'll see I'm smoothing the side of my moon a little bit. That's just so that it's not looking uneven on the sides. I find wearing the gloves really kind of helps that process too. And here is that silver paint I had mentioned. And this is an edible silver food paint. Now I'm beginning to add those planets to the cake. I'm using a little bit of buttercream. I'm painting with a small paintbrush onto the back of each of the planets, trying to pay some attention to make sure that when I'm putting that on, the paint isn't coming out the sides from behind each of the planets. Also alternating both in color and size to make the cake look a bit more interesting, so it varies in the way it looks. Here we go. I just added the Earth to the planet. I think that's probably my favorite one, just I guess because it's where we are. You can see here some of the marbling in the way that I blended those pieces of fondant. As you can see here in this specific planet, there is some buttercream coming out the back. So I will later take a toothpick and use that to kind of scrape that away so that that's not showing in the final product. Now that I have added all of the planets, I am adding a bit of buttercream to the top of the cake, as this is where I'm going to place my now dried moon. Just going to press that down a little bit. Then I'm also going to add some stars. So momentarily you'll see me begin to cut out some stars made out of fondant. Here are the creation of those stars. I'm not using a cookie cutter or any kind of a stencil or template. I'm just kind of freehanding this for now, and then I ultimately do end up going back and using a small little cookie cutter. Here is a now gold colored spray paint. Here you can see that I did use some cookie cutter type stencils, and this is the final product. Thank you so much for coming to watch as I made this cake. I did really have a great time creating this. And then I will show you just kind of a spin of the entire cake. If you enjoyed this, please feel free to share this and come back again to watch other videos. And as I'm beginning to build this channel, please feel free to come back, subscribe, and enjoy other videos as I add them to my channel. Thank you and have a great day.